They're lost, mija. One day those dummies will wise up to your brilliance, and when they do, it'll be too late. Esme opened her eyes to find her tia Rebecca looking thunderous. She had always been Esme's #1 fan. Even back when Esme would make short films on her phone about events in the neighborhood, Rebecca would always sit down and watch, fully focused on her creations. She never hesitated to give her serious feedback. "Thanks, tia," Esme said wearily. She was grateful for their love and support, but she was too exhausted to go into the nonsense reasons the producers gave her for passing. "Enough about me. What else is going on? Anything exciting happen today?" To Esme's surprise, they didn't push her to share more about her meeting. Instead, every one of them shifted their expectant gazes to Esme's mom, who in turn got that look she only had when she was about to hit Esme with a strong dose of the Dominican guilt trip. She braced herself. "¿Qué pasó, mami?" Ivelisse didn't answer immediately, making a show of leaning over to get something that was sitting on the table. The energy in the room changed as soon as Ivelisse grabbed the white envelope. The tias all had their eyes on the piece of paper like it was a ticking bomb. For some reason, Esme noticed that the vintage Tank Française watch Ivelisse never took off glinted in the light of the small lamp on the table. The gold Cartier watch had been a gift from Esme's father, and even after everything he'd done, Ivelisse cared for it as if it was a rare treasure. "This came for you today, mija," her mother said, bringing her out of her thoughts. Esme narrowed her eyes at the name on the upper left corner of the envelope. She recognized it as the attorney who was handling her father's estate. She took it from her mother, noticing it had been slit open. "Mommy," she chastised as she pulled the paper out. Ivelisse just lifted a shoulder, not even attempting contrition. "It's happening tomorrow, Esmeralda." Her mother didn't have to say what. Esmeralda already knew. There, in large black font at the very top of the expensive stationery, were the words, "Final Notice." 11 months and 27 days had passed since her estranged father's death, since she'd learned that, to the horror of his wife and his other children, he'd left a provision in his will to make Esmeralda the president and CEO of the television studio he'd turned into a billion-dollar empire. His last wish was to leave the daughter he'd barely acknowledged for most of her life at the helm of his company. Esme could still not quite believe it herself, and had done her best to ignore it whenever her mother had tried to show her the notices that had come every month since her father's death. But she hadn't turned it down either, and now her time to decide was almost up. Patricio Zambrano had started small in the 70s, producing some radio dramas and news shows in Spanish for the Latinx community in New York City. The shows became an instant sensation, and with the vision that would make him a legend in the entertainment industry, he soon realized what his people wanted was to see their stories on the small screen. He hustled and harnessed old friendships on the island and across the U.S., and over the next 15 years, he brought Latinx life to American television. He'd been innovative, gutsy, political, and unapologetic about showcasing the culture, and the end result had been Zambrano Studios, the first all-Spanish, all-color network in the United States. Her father built something out of nothing with his ingenuity and raw talent. An Afro-Dominican man with barely a 6th-grade education had done all that. But as sharp as Patricio had been with his business, his personal life had been messy and undisciplined. Esmeralda herself was the result of one of the more chaotic times in Patricio's life. Only weeks after becoming engaged to the daughter of a Dominican financier, he married her, consolidating his ability to expand the studio's interests. It was a bold move that gave him the resources he needed to fully realize his dreams. It had been a surprise for everyone, especially Esmeralda's mother, who had been in a relationship with Patricio for almost 5 years and only found out about the wedding when she heard about it on the Zambrano Evening News. She'd been pregnant with